Angelenos. Thanking Angelenos for paying attention to the calls for concern of staying safe, staying home, and staying informed. And I want to thank the city family, all of the employees who've been working around the clock to get us past this unprecedented weather situation. The Los Angeles Fire Department so far has reported no damage or injuries in the city resulting from the earthquake. And as for the storm, we prepared, we provided an emergency response, and now we take steps to survey the damage. I want to again start by thanking our first responders, first and foremost Chief Crowley for her leadership, Chief Moore and all of the Angelenos who have stepped up for the storm and inspired so many people around the nation, state, and country. This was a coordinated, collaborative approach, and reports thus far indicate that as of right now, there have not been any deaths or significant risk of injury. The city mobilized, including opening the most emergency temporary shelters for unhoused Angelenos to provide relief from extreme weather since 2020, and we will continue to address these issues. Now, it's not to say that many Angelenos have not been impacted by this storm, whether they woke up without power or were unable to get through streets due to flooding and mudslides. Our commitment to you is that we will approach our recovery with the same intensity as we approached our preparation. As skies clear, the Department of Water and Power crews have already mobilized to return power to Angelenos. Street repairs were placed on standby prior to the storm hitting, and 311 hours were extended to receive more calls. Now these street teams respond quickly to road damages, mudslides, and other road blockages reported through 311. If you approach a traffic signal that is not operational, treat it as a stop sign. If a traffic officer is at the location, heed their instructions. Crews are working to bring these signals back online as we speak. As you know, sometimes damage can occur in the hours and days after a storm hits, so Angelenos should continue to stay vigilant. The city family will continue working around the clock to respond, and we will need your help. City workers are working virtually today, obviously except for first responders, but tomorrow there should be no reason for everyone to be back to work in person. In closing, I just want to thank everyone working here at the Emergency Operations Center and to everyone who has been working on the front line of the storm. It's because of you that Los Angeles will forever remain the greatest city in the world. Thank you very much, and let me turn it over to our Incident Commander, Chief Kristen Crowley.
Good morning, everyone. Kristen Crowley, Fire Chief, Los Angeles City Fire Department. So overnight, we did continue to receive a significant number of storm-related calls for service. During the 24-hour period of August 20th to 2023, the LAFD responded to 1,833 emergency incidents. We received a total of 4,105 telephone calls to our 911 dispatch center, and this represents over 1,000 additional emergency phone calls than our normal average. Fortunately, we have yet to receive any report of any significant or injuries, I should say, or damage related to the storm. Some notable incidents I'd like to report on at this point. At around 7:30 last night, we responded to a flooded intersection in Sun Valley where 5 vehicles were stranded. This required our firefighters to rescue one person from their vehicle. Thankfully, no one was injured. This serves as a very good reminder for all of us to avoid driving through flooded streets, and especially if you cannot see what is under the particular surface. A relatively small amount of moving water can sweep a vehicle away. We have not encountered any significant debris flow incidents, but our saturated hillsides still can pose a threat for mudslides. The LAFD will continue to monitor these areas throughout the day. Trees continue to be uprooted and have caused some damage to property. Wires down, those types of incidents have been reported throughout the city, and we would like to remind everyone to stay clear of any downed wires and always treat them as live and potentially lethal. Overnight, in addition to the storm-related incidents, we had 30 firefighters in the Wilmington area battle a fire at an auto wrecking yard involving several semi-trucks and cars. They successfully protected a nearby business from damage, and there were no injuries to report. Additionally, I have the following updates from our city partners. LAPD was dispatched to 97 traffic accidents. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. The Sepulveda Basin in the San Fernando Valley remains flooded, and the Department of Transportation will continue to keep the surrounding area roads closed, specifically Burbank Boulevard between the 405 Freeway and Havenhurst Avenue, and Woodley Avenue between Victory Boulevard and Burbank Boulevard. There is also a freeway closure affecting the truck route of the 5 and the 14 interchange. The Department of Rec and Parks is still operating 8 facilities as temporary emergency shelters for our city's unhoused. Our city's information center, our 311, has now received over 500 storm-related requests for service. Crews from the Department of Public Works have stayed very busy mitigating issues with flooding and toppled trees, but have yet to encounter any significant debris flows. Our Emergency Operations Center will remain activated at a level 2, meaning we have representatives from all city agencies continuing to staff critical positions, as there is still potential, as we know, for flooding, debris flow, and other significant storm-related incidents. We will continue to evaluate return to a level 3 EOC activation as soon as this afternoon. We continue to staff our specialized resources like our swiftwater rescue teams and urban search and rescue teams, which are strategically placed throughout the city. For further information, please go to our Cities at Unified LA social media accounts throughout the duration of our storm event. I'd like to thank Mayor Bass for her leadership, and thank all of our city departments here who are represented, our elected leaders, as well as our state and county partners for their collaboration and continued support as we will focus our public safety priority within the city. As the storm exits the Los Angeles area, all city departments will continue to assess the impacts of the storm. We will be conducting our damage assessments and entering the recovery phase for this event. As Angelenos venture out on the roads this morning, we urge you to please continue to be cautious of hazardous road conditions, stay informed, slow down, and be alert for the hazards like our down power lines like we keep talking about and our flooded areas. I would now like to introduce the President of the Los Angeles City Council, Paul Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Chief, and good morning, everyone. Mayor, first let me say on behalf of the Council and on behalf of the entire City of Los Angeles how grateful we are for your leadership at this time of emergency, and to our first responders, the men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, and our Emergency Management Department. Los Angeles is so grateful that we have the best trained, best equipped, best prepared, most professional first response and emergency response team in the entire country. And because of the work of those departments, and because of the work of all of our other city departments who rallied together as a team, Los Angeles was tested, but we came through it. And we came through it with minimal impacts considering what we endured. For most cities, a tropical storm combined with a hurricane would be a catastrophic event. For Los Angeles and for our first responders, it's just another day at the office. And it showed last night with their professionalism. And I also want to echo the mayor's thanks to the people of Los Angeles who heeded the call to take this seriously and did the right things to prepare and did the right things to help their neighbors by staying off the roads and looking in on each other. And that's how we are best as a city, when we help each other. We've gone through emergency response. We are now in emergency recovery. But we should also now be in emergency reassessment. And I will tell you that every member of the council today will be out in their districts assessing the state of the condition of the district and see what response is necessary. But we must also commit ourselves today to looking at what has happened over the last few days and considering what can we do better. Every time we have an incident like this, the police department, the fire department, EMD, all of our departments look back and think, what could we learn from this incident? I'm just asking every Angelino to do exactly that as well. Use this as your opportunity to consider what can you and your family do better to prepare for the next incident, because we know there will be one. This is Los Angeles. We have emergencies regularly, and it's important, it's essential that the people of Los Angeles do their part by being prepared, by learning what's necessary to prepare for earthquakes, wind, flooding, earth movement. We need to be prepared for those things, and so it's up to you to do your part to ensure that we have the same kind of response and resiliency in the next emergency that we had this time as well. Thank you very much. Oh, and let me now, I have the pleasure of being able to introduce the superintendent of the Los Angeles Unified School District, Alberto Carvalho.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mayor Bass, I will join the chorus of appreciation and gratitude for your stellar leadership through a trial of our community that could have been rather disastrous. Some will say that we dodged the bullet. I will say we dodged a weather bomb. The dynamic conditions that kept shifting on us with some degree of unpredictability specific to rainfall, the possibility of flash floods, the possibility of mudslides, not knowing where that would occur or when across our large school system, which spans 700 square miles, put us in a position of making the right decision yesterday. I know some will criticize the decision, but decisions are informed by scientific data and conditions as they are presented to us, based on the best information available. And I want to reiterate very quickly, before I provide a status of our schools today, I want to reiterate very quickly the decision process that put us in a position of closing down schools for today. Number one, the intensity, the high peak of the storm would not be seen until sometime in the middle of the night, preventing our teams from inspecting schools and access roads to schools, detecting the possibility of down power lines, tree limbs on the street, or trees actually impeding access to schools. Secondly, a significant percentage of our workforce resides outside of the city of Los Angeles. Now, we know today that some of the access highways have been impacted. That would have constituted a problem. In addition to that, recognizing the fact that a lot of our students walk to school, the fact that some of our students usually take the street as early as 6 to 7 a.m., without the ability of conducting those necessary inspections, it would have been reckless for us to make a different decision. So we should be in a position of celebrating the fact that the worst was avoided and the right decisions were made, and we stand by that. In addition to that, look, I've managed hurricane conditions. I've shut down school systems for about 15 years, for as long as 2 weeks after catastrophic hurricanes. And there are criteria that we follow. By all measures, the city of Los Angeles, our community, was within the cone of concern. Let's begin with the fact that our community was under a tropical storm warning. Where I come from, hurricane-prone areas, that is the automatic trigger. Under tropical storm warning, schools are shut down. Who should we hold accountable, responsible for a casualty or a significant injury if, despite the fact that a warning is issued, you still open schools? Yesterday also, there were predictions of wind speeds anywhere between 35 miles an hour and gusts exceeding 70 miles an hour. Folks, our bus fleet cannot roll out when winds exceed the speeds of 35 miles per hour. That is the standard. So take all those conditions into account. After careful consideration, we decided to shut down the schools. Right decision. Today we're in a position of celebrating the fact that we avoided a potentially catastrophic set of conditions. Where are we today? Our teams have begun scouring our schools, and so far our condition is pretty good. But inspections are still ongoing. We know that about 24 schools are experiencing communications issues as a result of underground copper wiring defaults. There is no telephonic access and internet access to about 24 schools. That number may in fact grow. We had some minor mudslide at Marlton Elementary School, a school that serves students with disabilities. That's being addressed as we speak. One of the biggest areas of concern in the Sun Valley, where we store hundreds of our school buses, reduced access to that area and schools in the area. Just those issues alone would have put us in a position of really facing some critical issues this morning. We believe that all of the elements that I've just described can be and will be addressed throughout the day, and we expect to resume a regular school day early morning tomorrow, Tuesday, August 22nd. Every single indication puts us in a position of saying tomorrow shall be a regular school day. As far as instruction, there's no time to waste, no time to lose. Let us not forget we're still reeling from the impact of the pandemic. Our kids are still performing in reading and mathematics about 6 to 7 years below their grade level as a result of school shutdowns. So today will be an educational day, albeit not a perfect one. As early as 10 a.m., teachers have been asked to post assignments onto Schoology, and students will be able to access those assignments. Teachers will be monitoring Schoology activity for their assigned students. Let us not forget also that we loaded 3 additional days of instruction for this school year. So today we're dealing with 1 day where students are learning from home. We will consider all available options and opportunities to make up this day, notwithstanding the fact that students will be engaged in learning activities. In addition to that, from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. today, we will be activating 13 grab-and-go food distribution sites throughout our community. 80% of our student body lives at or below the poverty level. We recognize that food insecurity is a challenge. No child shall go hungry today. The information is posted on our website. We have distributed the information also to media outlets. Please go to those sites, pick up the meals you need for your children. Again, tomorrow will be a regular school day. I want to thank not only the stellar leadership of our mayor, our city council, all of the entities represented, our first responders and their leaders. I want to also thank the members of my team who since early this morning have been out there inspecting schools, inspecting access, and remediating for solutions that will lead to a full resumption of educational services beginning tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.
As chair of the MTA board, let me introduce Metro Chief Customer Experience Officer Jennifer Vidides.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Bass, for your leadership throughout this, and thank you to our first responders. I'd like to also recognize our Metro frontline employees who worked hard to keep our system moving with minimal delays throughout the storm. This includes not only our bus operators and our train operators, but also our other employees who worked diligently throughout the storm, clearing drains, readying sandbags, and using water pumps in areas such as LA Union Station, our K-line, and our B and D lines, which have history of flooding. Metro employees were deployed across our system to address any issues as they occurred, and will continue those efforts today. As we have begun service today, we're opening with our normal service on both bus and rail. There may be occasional minimal delays due to localized flooding, but we are operating our normal schedule. We also have some escalators that we preemptively shut down to protect the equipment during the storm, and that will be returned to service as the rain stops. Last night, Metro homeless outreach teams and our Metro ambassadors in partnership with LASA were able to assist 158 people experiencing homelessness with finding temporary shelter for the evening. We encourage everyone to stay up to date on our service by following our Twitter or checking the source at metro.net. And now I'd like to introduce Marty Adams, General Manager and Chief Engineer of the Department of Water and Power.
Good morning. I'd like to report the status of our water and power systems in the City of Los Angeles. First of all, I'd like to thank our customer service for workers who came in, and we maintained below 2-minute response time for all our customer calls, which was admirable and really a step up in being able to respond to our customer needs and reports of outages. The men and women of Department of Water and Power have been working throughout the night to restore power outages. Out of 1.5 million power customers, we've had a total of about 41,000 people out at one point. We've restored a little over 22,000 customers with power. We currently have about 18,000 customers without power. All those outages are being addressed at this time by 43 crews that are working throughout the city. Most of the outages remain in the metro area. The largest outage is in Beverly Grove, affecting just under 6,000 customers. It's an underground outage, meaning that the underground power service, there's water in the vaults, and those are more difficult to locate and to repair, where the crews may have to pull thousands of feet of underground cable. That outage is almost complete, and the restoration is just about finished with that. We have a little over 2,600 people affected in East Hollywood, a little over 2,100 in Hyde Park, under 1,500 in Hollywood, under 1,500 in Pico Union, and a little under 1,400 in Brentwood. Those are the prominent outages in the city. And again, all those outages are being addressed at this time by our crews, and we will continue to work consistently on those outages until everyone is restored to power. If you are a customer and you may have an individual outage, please make sure you call in and your outage is recorded by us. And so, again, our customer wait times are very low. Please call to make sure that we know status of your power at your home or your business. We did have an issue in the high desert last night. As we saw a lot of on the news, a lot of high desert areas were impacted, as was the Eastern Sierra. About 150 miles of Highway 395 has been closed due to debris flow and flooding in the Eastern Sierra. We had extensive flooding on the streams that feed the Los Angeles Aqueduct, which is a primary artery for water coming to Los Angeles. Our crews were out during the night managing stream flows as well as they could, but areas from the town of Big Pine down to Olancha were all affected by probably record high stream flows and flooding in that area. The aqueduct is intact. We have surveys going on both on the ground and in the air as soon as we can fly the area, but the aqueduct is flowing to the city, bringing water to the city. We are assessing damage and damage on the stream diversion facilities. So thank you very much, and we'll continue to update you and update our customers. All data is available online for our customers, or you can call 1-800-DIAL-DWP for status of your outage. Thank you. Now we have Ariel Cohen from the National Weather Service. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ariel Cohen, and I'm the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service office in Los Angeles, Oxnard. And I have a very special job because I get to supervise a staff of incredibly talented professionals, experts who are so passionate about protecting all of the residents of Los Angeles and our jurisdictions in Southern California. Everyone who comes to work every single day brings an attitude, a passion, enjoyment for being able to serve and protect and work with all of our partners, first responders, our mayor's office, all of the elected officials, everyone to work together to keep everyone safe. And it was only a few days ago before we all walked into one of the most significant weather events of our lives, something that makes meteorologists. Many meteorologists can pinpoint an event that was just so off the charts that drew them into this field, and this was Tropical Storm Hilary. Now, Tropical Storm Hilary was the first tropical cyclone to directly impact Southern California since the 1930s. We're talking about a once-in-a-lifetime type of event that affected our area, and yet not one single serious injury or fatality in Los Angeles County, Ventura County, which got the brunt of these impacts. This is a testament to the partnerships that we have, the dedicated staff that I'm so proud to supervise. I'm so proud of each and every one of the staff at the National Weather Service in Los Angeles for putting their best foot forward to keep everyone safe and all of our partners to be able to make this happen. This is not a coincidence. This storm came to fruition. We have over 100 reports of tropical storm winds, wind damage, trees coming down, power lines coming down, flash flooding, mudslides, debris flows. It's no coincidence that we did not end up having significant casualties. This came from preparedness. This came from the efforts of all of the women and men and everyone involved in keeping people safe. I am so proud to be in a leadership role for an office that's so deeply connected with everyone here. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone for being a part of this. We have one of the largest cities in the country and the world, and yet the outcome of a system like this that has resulted in the first ever tropical storm watch and tropical storm warning issued for the United States Pacific Coast in history. And this is the outcome. And I can't say it enough. I am so proud to be here in Los Angeles. And so let's talk a little bit about where things are going with respect to Hilary. I am very glad to say that Hilary no longer meets the thresholds as a tropical cyclone and is therefore resulting in the cancellation of all tropical storm warnings for Los Angeles County, Ventura County, and elsewhere across Southern California. This is definitely a very good situation as we go into the recovery phase that has been mentioned. And there is still going to be some water on roadways. There's still going to be the remnant debris flows and rock slides and mudslides that we need to be careful of. But we are past the brunt of the impacts at this point. We are past the time period where we were getting prepared for, but we still need to be cautious. We're going to continue to have some light rain showers affect our area, but we're not looking for any new areas of flooding, just a recession of the waters where they had already built up. Wind gusts are going to occasionally be there, 10 to 25 mile an hour range, maybe a little stronger over the mountains. And that's where over the mountains and foothills we'll continue to see some lingering water on area roadways. And again, just take it easy, take precautions, because again, we've made it this far. Let's make it to the final home stretch here. Going forward, this event has showed us the resilience that we have in greater Los Angeles. And you know, under the leadership of our mayor, we have such a great opportunity to take this event and understand what it means to be prepared and the work that we put into it, all of the expertise that everyone brings to the table to keep people safe, and then everyone who listens to the message that provided by the National Weather Service, our media partners, again, emergency managers. When we're all working together, when we all come up with plans, practice those plans and put those plans into place, we will be able to be safe from any vulnerabilities that may come our way. And as we know, since the atmospheric river events, we can get a lot of very destructive weather here in Southern California. It's not always sunny SoCal. Tornadoes, blizzards, flash flooding. And so when we know our vulnerabilities and we work together to be prepared, things don't come up as a surprise. We're ready, we're safe, and we're protecting lives and property. Thank you. And next, I'm going to introduce Los Angeles Fire Department, David Ortiz.
A través de la noche tuvimos un número significativo de llamadas para servicio causadas por la tormenta. Durante el periodo de 24 horas, el día agosto 20, el Departamento de Bomberos de Los Ángeles acudió a 1,833 incidentes de emergencia. Hemos recibido un total de 4,105 llamadas de emergencia a nuestro centro de comunicaciones de 911. Esto representa más de 1,000 llamadas de emergencia de lo normal. Afortunadamente, no hemos recibido reportes de lesiones significativas o daños directamente relacionados con la tormenta. Algunos incidentes de nota que ocurrieron anoche incluyen un incendio una inundación que ocurrió en la comunidad de Sun Valley a las 7:30 de la noche, donde 5 vehículos estuvieron atrapados en agua estancada. Estamos contentos de que nadie fue lesionado, pero sí hubo una persona que tuvo que ser rescatada por los bomberos. Le pedimos por favor que tenga mucho cuidado con el agua estancado, ya que el agua puede mover un vehículo con mucha facilidad cuando se está moviendo. No hemos encontrado deslaves de tierra de significancia, pero sí sabemos que las colinas están saturadas y todavía continúa el peligro de deslaves. El Departamento de Bomberos continuará visualizando e inspeccionando estos a través del día. Los árboles continúan siendo peligros al público. Muchos de sus raíces han sido expuestos por los deslaves y han causado daños a propiedad. Continúan habiendo incidentes donde cables eléctricos están cayendo a través de la ciudad. Recordamos a todo mundo que se mantenga alejado de cualquier cable eléctrico o cualquier tipo de cable que puede llevar energía y causar muerte. Durante la noche hemos tenido un incendio en la comunidad de Wilmington, donde los bomberos combatieron un incendio en un lugar de reciclaje de automóviles. Ellos pudieron proteger a los negocios vecinos y adyacentes y no se reportan daños de personal en ese incidente. También hubo el cerrar de una autopista, la autopista 5, donde conecta con el 14, y esta ruta que usan los vehículos comerciales continúa cerrada. El Departamento de Parques y Recreación continúa operando 8 diferentes locaciones para refugio de personas sin hogar. Hasta ahorita hay 267 individuos que están tomando refugio en estos lugares. El sistema de información 311 ha recibido más de 500 llamadas para servicio. El Departamento de Obras Públicas continúa manejando las inundaciones que han ocurrido y los árboles que han sido tumbados, pero no hemos encontrado deslaves de significancia. Este centro de operaciones de emergencia continúa a un nivel de posición 2, donde tenemos personal clave, y continuará esta cantidad de personal clave siendo reducido a un nivel 1, esperamos para esta tarde. Corrección, nivel 3, que significa que solamente el personal más clave va a estar aquí en este recinto. Nuestros recursos especializados como equipos de rescate acuático y rescate estructural están todavía disponibles y estratégicamente puestos a través de nuestro municipio. Si usted necesita más información, por favor, continúe monitoreando los diferentes medios de noticias y comunicación, y también puede ir a nuestras cuentas de redes sociales @UnifiedLA para recibir más información en cuanto a esta tormenta. Estamos muy agradecidos con el liderazgo de nuestro alcalde, Mayor Bass, y estamos agradecidos con todos los departamentos y las personal de dirección que tenemos aquí en el municipio, en el condado y en el estado de California, porque nos han apoyado y asegurado que el público se mantenga seguro durante esta tormenta. Mientras sale esta tormenta de la área de Los Ángeles, la ciudad continúa accesando los daños y el impacto de la tormenta y accesando el plan de recuperación que estamos entrando. Pedimos al público que cuando salgan a las calles tengan mucho cuidado en las carreteras. Existen condiciones peligrosas todavía. Existen todavía cables caídos de electricidad, áreas que están inundadas, y por esa razón pedimos que cuando maneje con precaución. Ahora voy a invitar al podio al señor Alberto Carvalho, superintendente del Distrito Escolar.
Thank you very much. Quiero empezar por agradecer el liderazgo muy fuerte de nuestra alcaldesa, la señora Karen Bass, el liderazgo de los líderes comunitarios representados aquí con nosotros hoy, y principalmente a las personas que en este momento están haciendo el labor muy importante en nuestra comunidad, inspeccionando a nuestros planteles escolares y las vías, las rutas de acceso a nuestras escuelas para garantizar un retorno al proceso de educación mañana por la mañana. Ayer hicimos la decisión correcta de cerrar todos nuestros planteles escolares, una decisión debido a las condiciones atmosféricas que estaban representadas aquí en nuestra comunidad, con vientos muy altos, con un nivel de lluvia acelerada y la condición que se iba a manifestar con la parte más peligrosa de la tormenta durante la noche. Estas series de condiciones no se podían ignorar, considerando que muchos de nuestros colegas de trabajo empiezan sus días de trabajo a las 4:30 de la mañana. Muchos de nuestros niños empiezan a caminar hacia sus escuelas a las 6 de la mañana. Evitamos una condición posiblemente catastrófica. Ahora es el momento de analizar, estudiar el impacto y preparar para la siguiente amenaza que podría afectar a nuestra comunidad. El proceso de comunicación y interacción entre varias entidades de la ciudad, del condado y el sistema escolar ha sido muy buena, pero podemos mejorarla. Hoy es un día de estudio para nuestros niños. Empezando a las 10 de la mañana, nuestros maestros están utilizando los métodos virtuales para crear una condición de aprendizaje para nuestros niños con todos los recursos digitales necesarios. Entre las 11:30 de la mañana hasta las 2 de la tarde tenemos 13 escuelas abiertas para una distribución de comidas gratis para los niños en nuestra comunidad. Sumamente importante considerando que un 80% de nuestros niños viven en condiciones de pobreza. Estamos continuando nuestro proceso de inspección en todos los planteles escolares. En este momento tenemos más de 20 escuelas con problemas de comunicación y debido a esos problemas tenemos equipos de trabajo que me han garantizado a mí que durante el día de hoy van a resolver todos los problemas enfrentados en nuestros planteles escolares. Mañana será un día de escuela normal. Vamos a empezar el proceso de educación bien temprano, con nuestros conductores de autobuses reportando a sus posiciones y esperamos un día de educación muy exitoso y muy seguro. Evitamos posiblemente condiciones catastróficas para nuestra comunidad. Ahora es el momento de preparar para el próximo incidente de una manera de colaboración con las entidades representadas aquí hoy. Once again, I want to thank our mayor. En español, quiero agradecer a nuestra alcaldesa, al jefe de policía, al jefe de departamento de fuego y todos los líderes comunitarios representados aquí que fueron responsables por un nivel de colaboración sin precedente. Muchas gracias.
MTA Customer Experience Officer Jennifer Vidas.
Primero le quiero agradecer a la alcaldesa Bass por su liderazgo. Me gustaría reconocer primero a nuestros empleados de primera línea quienes han trabajado afanosamente para mantener el sistema de metro funcionando. Esto no solo incluye a nuestros operadores de autobuses y de trenes, pero a nuestros empleados quienes han trabajado arduamente limpiando alcantarillas, preparando bolsa de arena y utilizando bombas para sacar el agua en áreas tales como Union Station, la línea K y la línea B, la roja, que tiene una historia de inundaciones. Los empleados fueron desplegados en todo el sistema para resolver cualquier problema que suceda y hoy continúan con esa tarea. Al comenzar hoy nuestro servicio, estamos iniciando con un servicio normal de trenes y de autobuses. Vamos a tener ocasionalmente demoras mínimas debido a inundaciones, pero vamos a funcionar con un horario normal. Las escaleras eléctricas que fueron apagadas de forma preventativa para proteger al equipo durante la tormenta serán puestas en servicio en cuanto pare la lluvia. Anoche los equipos Metro Homeless Outreach, en sociedad con LASA, Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, pudieron asistir a 158 personas que no tenían techo buscando refugios temporales por la noche. Pedimos a todos estar pendientes de nuestra información sobre nuestros servicios, siguiéndonos en Twitter y en nuestro website metro.net. Muchas gracias.
All right, we're going to open it up for questions. Right here in the front.
As a member of the media, I want to thank you for your open communication, and there's nothing better we want to report than no lives lost after a situation like this.
Absolutely.
So now comes the evaluation. Michelle Valles from NBC. For what would you grade yourselves now with this? What would you grade the execution?
Well, I would grade the execution under the leadership of our Chief of Fire, Incident Commander, A+.
Wow, high grade. Thank you. Well done.
Superintendent Carvalho, you mentioned one school suffered damage due to a mudslide. Can you repeat the school name and what kind of damage was sustained or how it was associated to the mudslide?
It's Marlo, right? So there was no damage to the school. There was some degree of access impediment as a result of a mudslide. My understanding is actually, I was checking my phone, it's already been cleared, so we're ready to go for tomorrow. This school is Marlow Elementary, which serves a large population with disabilities.
For Chief Crowley, you mentioned 4,000 calls. You mentioned 4,000 calls. What did you say that is compared to normal? And also, can you put the 100 accidents in perspective?
Sure. So what we did see in overall call volume was 1,000 calls over our normal average. On a 24-hour basis, the LAFD responds to, on average, between 1,500 calls, maybe a little less. So we ran far over that, and as expected, that's why we wanted to lean forward to make sure that we actually overstaffed and we upstaffed, especially our specialty apparatus, which is really important: swift water, urban search and rescue, and even additional engines and paramedics. So that's just that lean forward position. As for the accidents, I am very pleased to say no fatalities. On an average day within the city of Los Angeles, we have fatalities. But I think that is the messaging where we're utilizing our professionals, the media out there to help us with the essential message of leaning forward to the community to say, hey, let's be smart, let's be safe, stay off the roads. So that is very, very important moving forward. I'm pleased to announce that there was no fatalities due to the weather.
Could you provide a little more clarity on the issue of injuries? Is it that there were no injuries or no significant risk? I wasn't sure about the phrasing and what that meant.
Right, absolutely. So the injury side is on the reported injuries where it was specifically connected to the weather event. Let me just be very clear. So on average, throughout the city anyway, we have injuries. We have normal falls. We have trips. We have accidents. But anything that was specifically tied to the weather-related incidents, there was nothing significant to report.
So no significant injuries.
Correct.
All right. Also, you were talking about this being an A+. But I was wondering, do you feel like this storm was much smaller than you expected? I mean, I have spoken to a number of people who are like, wow, that seemed like not as bad as like a winter storm. Everybody lived through the many, many weeks of inundation. Was this sort of a dud in the end?
Right. I'll speak on that, and obviously Madam Mayor will as well. And I do appreciate the confidence with an A+. But with that, I'll be very clear. From the public safety entity and the city entity, we're always looking for room to improve. We are doing a deep dive. We are doing after actions because there's always areas where there's gaps in our service. There's more efficiencies to build into our system. And the more we exercise this, in regard to disaster preparedness across the city and with our city departments, there's always room to improve. So we'll continue to push forward, and I can promise you that, and I can promise the mayor that as well.
And let me just say, that really wasn't a flippant response on my part. I said that because under the leadership of the chief, she pulled us together days in advance when it was difficult for all of us to see this actually is going to happen in California because we've never experienced anything like that. And then, you know, under the best of circumstances, you pull everybody together, you prepare for the worst, and you hope for the best. And so the fact that it wasn't the catastrophe that had been anticipated, we are very happy about, but had it been, I have the full confidence that our city family was prepared to respond.
You touched on this yesterday, but tomorrow it's going to be sunny, it's going to get warm again. What's the advice to people that head to the coastline to get in the water or have a beach day?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I can speak on that. Okay. I can speak on that just briefly. The advice is they're saying at a minimum 72 hours to stay out of the water. And again, that mindset of keeping yourself safe doesn't stop. It's an everyday mindset for all of us. So just with the advice from the professionals, stay out of the water for 72 hours. At that point, yes, we're going to have a couple days of sun and we're going to start to dry out. But that's the advice that we're giving, is stay out of the water for 72 hours. Yeah, go ahead.
The National Weather Service
Yes.
guy.
Enthusiastic.
So a lot of us were glued to our computers looking at the storm track, and we kept looking at the storm track and thinking like, ooh, it's going to be like east of Riverside or west of Palm Springs. That thing's going to go right up through the middle of the desert. Suddenly we're like, it's over LA. Wait, what? What happened? What did happen?
The main message is that the impacts from the storm extend far away from the actual center line of the track. They can extend for hundreds of miles away. And there's a lot of uncertainty in exactly where this fine line goes. And is again, you know, just brings about the importance of being ready for these potentially dangerous impacts that extend over a big area. Focusing on the center line track can be very misleading for the preparedness actions that you need to take place to be ready.
All right. On that note, thanks so much, everybody. Our next update is going to be via paper after this.